About it when you go live?
I did tweet about it right now.
Oh, I'll retweet it. Let's see if I can find it. Here it is.
Um, Let me see if we are live yet.
Yeah, we should be.
Oops, sorry, I was trying to refresh the YouTube tab and I refreshed this one. My bad.
No worries.
Yeah, so we are finally
Hey
live and
everyone.
we're good to go. Hey guys, I hope you enjoy watching the stream today. Today we are talking to Miguel, and I really admire him for his skills. He has built some really awesome projects, some really awesome products. So I'll let you introduce the rest for yourself.
Yeah, so hi everyone. I'm Miguel. I'm actually going to be 19 tomorrow.
Oh, that's nice.
It's kind of weird because I've been saying like I'm 18 years old for like a year now, so I'm used to it now. But yeah. Yeah, I build stuff. That's like the tagline. I code. And
So
also like been doing this whole indie maker thing for a while where I design, code, market, try to figure out what's going on. So yeah, that's me.
awesome. How did you get started with, and around what age did you get into coding?
So I got into that at around 10, I think. We were introduced to HTML in school, kind of. Just for like, we had a class where the teacher got bored of teaching us like Word and PowerPoint and decided that he was going to teach us HTML. And then in the next class, he just gave up because like no one else was getting it. But it served me as a kind of introduction, and I started looking at things on my own. Starting like looking at the school websites and trying to use view source to understand what each part of it did. And then I learned PHP and started building apps. And yeah.
That's awesome. So, like a lot of people that get into coding, build side projects, but not really get into indie hacking that early. So, what attracted you about building products on your own and basically leveraging that skill to build products? Because at
Hmm.
an early age, not a lot of people realize what you can do with it.
Yeah, so when I started coding, like when I started with PHP and Laravel, I wanted to build a project because like that's the way
Yeah,
at least I learned, just building and trying out stuff and seeing what works. So I made an open source project. I decided to make it open source so that people could look at my code and correct me and give me feedback. That's like the easiest way to learn.
yeah, that's a
And
smart move.
so yeah, I made it open source. I started checking out and trying to contribute a lot to other open source projects because like if you want to like if you think this is the best way of doing this thing and then you make a PR to a project and they say no, I think this is better. Um yeah, you learn more. So I started doing that, and then after doing that for a while I decided, okay, so now I'm going to build something that is not open source. So I basically did the same thing that I would do when it was open source, but just didn't make the repo public.
Right.
And then after that, I decided, okay, so let's try to make something. Like I was following all these people, Justin Jackson, and all these people who basically build their own things. And it was like, okay, I would like to try something like that. So I made this project called a Markdocs. I think I spent around a year building that from start to finish, and then I launched it on Product Hunt, and no one really cared. Like, um, there were a few people like it was free for open source repos. It was like site that made created documentation sites for like open source projects and closed
Right.
source project as well. Like you would just connect a repo full of Markdown files and it would generate documentation for you. Yeah, and that didn't really do really well in terms
But it's
of
a pretty cool project. I looked at it today
yeah.
and
I
it
learned a lot.
seems really useful.
The the thing that I learned the most was like, okay, I know a lot about coding now, but I don't know anything about like building a business. That's like the
Hmm.
thing that teach me that I learned from that. And so I
Right.
decided to learn more about marketing. I joined the Makerlo community when Sergio first launched it,
Hmm.
and yeah, I met a lot of other indie makers. I looked at their all of their projects. I started like it's like the best way of learning something is like doing it yourself. The second best way I think would be to like find a lot of people who are doing what
The
you're
same
trying
thing.
to do, and that are launching and building every day, and seeing what works for them and what doesn't. Even maybe not really what they talk about that works, but just like observing their projects. And I used to browse Makerlog and Indie Hackers and everything every day and see what people launch and see maybe a week after what had worked and what didn't. And so I learned a lot like that. Then after that, I launched another project called Blogcast, which I like I said I was doing some coding and I was looking at a lot of projects, but wasn't really building anything. So set myself a target for a week. I wanted to
Hmm.
build something in a week, build and launch. And I built this thing called Blogcast, which was basically the idea was like you gave me a link to an article, and I give you an audio version of that article. It's like text to speech, but
Yeah.
that doesn't suck to listen to. That was like the idea. And like I've seen a lot of services like this come out like 6 months after the broadcast
Hmm.
launched, which is really funny. It's like I've seen this trend a lot where like someone launches something that no one had done before, like this thing broadcast, and then 60 years after, a lot of things like that launched. So there was like a broadcast, then there was Fathom Analytics, which some friends launched, which is like privacy-friendly analytics, and then
Yeah.
6 months earlier, like now we are seeing maybe every 2 weeks you had
New
a
analytics
privacy friendly
service.
analytic tool launch, and most of it were like clones. There were a few were like someone bought a Code Canyon script and just launched that, which was really funny to me. And also, like my prediction for this is like in the next few months we're going to see a lot of Calendly alternatives, because like
I
Derek
tried building
Raymer
one in
launched
2020.
Savical. Yeah, I saw the first one today. That's what I'm saying it. Like this guy launched Sabical, which is like a Calendly alternative that I use, and
Yeah.
that was successful. So I think we're going to see a lot of those clones. But yeah, I launched Locust. It worked a lot better. Like I was getting better at marketing. I had become better at like my personal brand and people following me on Twitter. So it had more success, and I worked on that for a while, for like
Right.
almost a year. Then I sold it to focus on side source, which is the thing that
So
I'm
basically, you sold your side project, right? Like yours,
yeah.
actually sold it to somebody else.
Yeah, I like my side projects are made in a way that they don't really require any kind of maintenance. Like everything is automated. Maybe I have
Right.
to reply to a few customer support tickets, but that's about it. So I wasn't really doing anything with it, and I was like getting some side income.
Hmm.
But the thing about it is that I knew there was so much more that could be done with that project. And like the current owner has been launching some cool stuff, like being able to have multiple voices that have like a conversation, controlling the tone and everything. So I thought I should find someone who has the energy and the time to continue developing this, because I have it here. I don't really do anything new with it, and I'm not going to have time to add any new features. And people use it, but I think it would be a lot
Right.
more useful. So that's why I decided to sell it. And so at the time I was building this other thing called SiteSauce, which the idea for it is that you can get any kind of site that is powered by a backend, like a WordPress blog or a Ghost blog. And that can be kind of slow, because like you have to, in every request, go to the database, get the data, render the thing. So this tool, SiteSauce, allows you to turn that into a static site, which is super fast, and also like it scales amazingly, and
Right.
you can't really hack it because there's nothing to hack. And then the
Right.
innovation here is like we watch for changes on your WordPress site. So, for example, maybe you publish a new post, and then we generate that static site instantly so that it's synced. So you get basically the benefits for dynamic and static sites. So I launched that on summer, and it's been doing great. It's an open startup, so you can basically go in the site and check the revenue right now. I have no clue
Oh,
what it
that's
is right
awesome.
now, but yeah. And then, well, maybe do you have any questions about any of these first before I start talking
Yeah.
about crypto and
So,
stuff?
so with Blockcast, my one interesting question is like, how did you enable the AI features? Like, did you code it yourself, or did you leverage some Google Cloud Platform APIs, or some, what did you do with that?
Yeah, so basically, I played around with like TensorFlow and all these things that allow you to roll in an AI by yourself. But
Hmm.
then Google came up with a new version of their AI voices that sounded really good and anything better than anything else on the market. And they have been working on this for a while. There's a third version of that AI that isn't even released yet, but it sounds super like there are audios where you can't tell if it's a human or the AI, which I guess it's why they haven't released it yet. But like yeah, I saw that it was better than anything that I could get, so I just rolled with that.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, even with side projects, a lot of people, don't leverage the tooling around in the ecosystem and just, roll with their own, just because, either to save some cost upfront or to be stubborn that I want to do this myself. But the more important is launching and like getting feedback, and the fastest and the best way to do that is leveraging what you can from the ecosystem, right?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I would like for example, for all the crypto things I'm doing right now, which we'll talk about later, I'm trying to reinvent the wheel on everything just because like I want to learn how everything really works.
Yeah.
And so in those cases, like if I was trying to learn AI, I would maybe try to uh, build it from scratch, maybe even not use TensorFlow, try to learn, like if I knew enough maths to program an AI engine from scratch, I would do that. So it
Yeah.
seems like a fun project and one where you would learn a lot. So definitely,
Yeah,
like if
so
your goal
there's
is
a
just,
distinction. Like, if it's a learning
yeah,
project, then reinventing the wheel makes perfect sense, because that's how you get the most understanding. But
I mean,
like,
all
if you're planning
projects
to
are learning
launch,
projects, but yeah, I agree with you.
yeah, I mean, like a lot of projects you build with not thinking the users in the mind, but just building for your own sake, or building
Yeah.
just for fun, right? So in those projects, I guess reinventing the wheel is fine. But like, if your goal is to launch with a project, then just leverage the ecosystem.
Yeah, I guess like the only reason why I didn't do that in the first place was like I had given myself a week to launch this thing from start to finish, so like there was no way I could have figured anything out, even if it was like possible to get a higher quality by yourself. There was no way I would have figured that out in a week.
Right.
So yeah, that's what, and then I just rolled with it. But maybe at some point I will try to do something with AI.
Right. And with your ideas, like these are ideas that are very utility focused, and like they might not appeal to the masses, but the people who are the target market, like that's not a huge target market, but they like strike right at the nerve of what's needed. So like, do you have a framework around how do you evaluate your ideas before you start building?
I mean, I would say, for example, for Vlogcast, the cool thing about this is like 3 weeks after I launched Vlogcast, like there was a YC Combinator backed startup that launched with like a few millions in funding. So I don't know if I agree with like the slow target because like the New York Times even now has that thing. Obviously not by Vlogcast, but they have their own thing. But anyways, my framework is basically I just work on a lot of stuff, and then once in a while something sticks. Like for example, like I don't know, I have a lot of projects that I haven't even talked about ever. That I
Right.
just like thought maybe this would be fun, and then I built it in a weekend or maybe a day or a few hours, and then it's just there laying around, and I never do anything with it. And then there are some projects where I work on it for a while and I think, oh, this is fun, or oh, I think some people would benefit from this, and those are the ones that I pursue. So it's mostly what I have fun building, but also like from all those months watching, and also until now I keep doing it for watching people launch and fail and succeed and trying to like it's not that I can pinpoint like a set of conditions, but I have like developed some kind of intuition for it. So I can, if I come up with an idea, for example, this thing I announced the other day, which is like a tool that allows you to create newsletters for DMs.
Yeah, DM
Like
dot
you
link, right?
can send, yeah, DM.link. You can send your tweets to people on your newsletters. This was something that I came up with. And I actually didn't like the initial idea for this was just like an idea, a platform that allowed you to make buttons on tweets that then open your DMs, like all the things that power DM.link behind the scenes. And then I figured like, you know what would be really cool to build with this? A newsletter tool. And I was like, okay, this could be huge. And I know Twitter employees have talked about it at internal meetings, which is really nice. And
That's
I've
all.
talked with a few, and also it made it like I don't know if you were subscribed then, but like I screwed up, and the first message that I sent using the tool, it was sent 3 times, and also like to half the list it was sent 3 times, and to the other half of the list it was sent no times. And like I know that there are Twitter employees that are subscribed to that, so that was like a big oops moment, but like that was one of the things where I was having fun building the thing in general, but I went like I think this could be big in general. Like I think people will like it.
Yeah, I
So
really
it's
think there's a huge market for it
yeah,
because
the framework is just having fun, and once in a while you stump into something that could be useful.
yeah, so just do a lot of stuff and something will stick.
Yeah,
But like most importantly, have fun with it because otherwise you can't sustain it, right?
yeah. I like people usually like get burned down when they work on a thing for a lot of time. My strategy with that is just work on multiple things, and then when you get bored on one you can switch to another one, which I guess doesn't really work if you have a real job. But for me it does, at least for now. So yeah, that's my advice: work on a lot of things or have at least a few side projects.
Yeah, because like even when you're working, those side projects, keep you like they're a refresher after work. It's not exhausting to work on them.
Yeah, and even if you find something that really works. Like for side sauce, I had been working on a few things, and then I made side sauce, and then it was like, okay, this is the thing, and I focused on that for like the next 8 months, like almost on that. I didn't really start any other things, and yeah, like you can go laser focus mode on something when you feel like it's the time, but in general, I think that having a few things around is always helpful.
Awesome. That makes a lot of sense, and you've built some really cool shit, man. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
So let's move on to the next topic. And before that, I see a lot of messages in the chat. So hey guys, and if you have any questions, just drop them in the comment in the chat, and we'll get to them sometime in the between. And next, let's move on to talking about how you got into blockchain and crypto. So what's the story behind that? What caught your eye?
So it's kind of fun. I had been like I knew what Bitcoin is, I know what the blockchain is, but I
Yeah.
haven't really gotten into Ethereum yet. And then I started like one day from 0 to 1, I started seeing everyone talk about NFTs in my timeline. Like I follow a lot of indie makers and all the Gen Z Mafia guys, and everyone started talking about NFTs. And
Yeah.
then I saw some people putting like cabbage emojis on their names and tweeting about cabbages, which was really fun. Like it was really funny to me. So I thought let's roll with it, and I added a cabbage to my name, and I just joined into their Telegram and stuff. And
Tech
then at the
optimist,
same
right?
time, yeah, at the same time, I had like a week before I had decided I need to get into I need to get into 3D design again. I had been learning Blender for like 2 weeks from the summer, but I
Mhm.
stopped to do the side source thing. So I wanted to get back. So I set myself a goal of doing 100 days of renders, which I gave up on the second week because I didn't have time to do
I remember
everything.
seeing that tweet.
But yeah. So basically, the person who started Tech Optimist also was in the chat that a friend had created where we basically did all the render stuff. Like we talked about 3D design and stuff. And she saw the things that I was making and DM me like, hey, do you want to help us make a cabbage? And like the first cabbage, if you let me check.
I've
Think
seen
I
the
can
one that was on
I
Showtime
think
by
I can do
Alex.
this.
Yeah, I think you can share your screen. I'll add that to the stream. Yeah.
So this is like the Tech Optimist page on Foundation, and like the first cabbage sold by for a ridiculous amount of money, and I helped make this second one, which sold for even more, which was really fun, and that also led me to basically start learning more about crypto and more about all these things. Um, and yeah, after that, like I got connected with a lot of nice folks. Like the Tech Optimist community is just like very optimistic, obviously, but also very into all these things. And I started looking
It's a
into
pro crypto
Foundation. I started
community,
looking
right?
into all the different projects. I also started looking into Mirror, which we can talk about this later. But I think Mirror is one of the most innovative projects on the whole space, just because they
True.
don't try to do anything with crazy. But yeah, and since that I started working on small things. I launched my own coin, which isn't you can't really do anything with it yet because it isn't even on Uniswap, but
Okay.
we'll get there. And yeah,
I
been
want to
having a
talk
lot of
about
fun in
personal
the
tokens for sure. I have a lot of ideas around that.
yeah same
Yeah, so carry on with.
yeah. I was just saying that I have been having a lot of fun learning about the blockchain, Ethereum, learning Solidity, playing around with NFTs and tokens and stuff.
Right. And like, what caught your eye about blockchain specifically? Like, why are you intrigued by it? That's the question.
So like I had seen throughout the years a lot of talk about all the Web 3.0 things, and I didn't really get it.
Yeah.
And then like I think it was kind of a mirror and stuff, like the thing that made me get it, because like all these applications, all these apps, all these blockchain apps are really like things that you don't really see on the normal web, or at least that I haven't seen. Like I'm not into finance, so obviously I haven't really seen any of those things. But then Mirror came, and Mirror, for anyone who doesn't know, is just like a blog platform that lives on the blockchain, and all the articles and that is decentralized is built in a way that like you could make your own client for Mirror, and actually I built that. I made a Mirror client that doesn't relay on Mirror. I mean, it does for like the avatars and stuff, but the content is not. It's pulled directly from the blockchain. So the thing that I liked about Mirror is that it's a lot more close to an application that I would normally make, like a blog app with blockchain in. And it's really creative, like the way they've done all of this. Like the registration process is you get a token and you burn that token, and then you get like the the domain system, like the DNS, is decentralized as well. So the contract that burns your token grants you the domain, and then it's like a whole. It's really smart. But the thing I really
Right.
liked it is that is it's an application of all the blockchain and stuff that doesn't really involve money. It's not about money. And then after that, I started talking with Alex, because Alex it's also it also he also hangs in the Tech Optimist crew, and he's building Showtime, which isn't also is also
Instagram for NFTs.
yeah, but it's not really blockchain related. It's more of it uses the blockchain, and it's a really interesting experience to just like create a Shoptime account and instantly all your data is already there because it pulls data from the blockchain. And also all these sites like Foundation and stuff, you don't really need an account. You just can log in with your wallet.
Yeah.
So all of this to me is a lot more interesting than all the things that you could do with like money. So it's like having decentralized everything. Like there have been some attempts to decentralize things, like Mastodon, but Mastodon takes this approach where like you have a peer-to-peer connection where you have different nodes. So it kind of tries to make a blockchain, but not really. And so this thing is like a really great way to decentralize everything, and you can have standardized protocols that people can pull in for. Like, there's nothing really stopping me from, like, I have a mirror client, I could make a mirror server and start publishing using the same spec that they use.
Right.
And maybe when I get into mirror eventually, I can pull in all of my data and it's already there, which is something that is really, like, all these things of like having a shared identity that you can just log in through that. You don't need to log in with Google, log in with email. You can just click sign in with your wallet and you're in. And having a way to have content, like, the vibe of all these things, most of these projects are open source, and you can verify that the content, that the code that it's running is the one that is there with the contracts and stuff. And
Right.
like, it feels like the next step for everything. Like a way that I can maybe make a social network, which is something I've been thinking. I probably don't do it, won't do it, but I've been thinking about it. I can
I've
just
seen
make a
that
social
landing page.
network. Huh?
I've seen that landing page. It's something with an A, right?
I mean, yeah, I made Oralite, but like that was pre-blockchain. Like, now I'm
Uh,
thinking, if I were to make a blockchain social network, I can just make it so that you can log in with your wallet instantly. You have your profile. Maybe posts are NFTs. If transactions are low enough to allow that to happen, transaction
Matic.
costs, yeah,
Matic has
or
like
something like
really
that.
low fee.
And then basically you can contribute to the contract and contribute to the backend, or you can make your own frontend for everything. And like, I don't really own it. You could maybe make a DAO around it to decide what gets in and what doesn't get in. And like, no one owns that thing really. And there's no censorship. There's no, even, it should be really fast because you are just loading data from the blockchain. It's more democratized, and it just feels like all the tooling to build regular apps around this thing isn't really there yet.
It
Like, there's
isn't. No
tooling,
way.
but I think, like, again, Miro is really innovative with figuring out how to do this from scratch. But yeah, I feel like this in a few years is what things are going to be built on. And there's a lot of like potential for identity and verifying identity and stuff, which I haven't really heard a lot of. Like,
Right.
basically what I'm saying is, at some point I think we'll have um, maybe government issued blockchain tokens, so that, because like, I heard Europe was thinking of making a digital coin, and I feel like if they are going to get involved into the digital space, they are going to want to, like, okay, it's decentralized, but we still know who these people are, because
Yeah.
laws exist around that, and you need to, like, if you are making economic transactions with the government, they need to know who you are, because
Right.
like terrorism and all this stuff. So I think at some point we'll see some kind of government issued token, like your government IDs. And yeah, like, there's a lot of potential for identity building, decentralized apps, decentralization in general, content, and all of these things that haven't really been, like, there are some people with that have been introduced to crypto with this NFT thing, myself included, and I think some people will build really smart things with all of this that probably won't have anything to do with NFTs or with money in general. But yeah, that's my prediction.
So, to like basically derive out what your main point was that I understood, that it really appeals to you that blockchain is like this open garden where everything is pluggable to each other, because all the data is there for everybody to see. Like, what more can you do? Like Facebook, Instagram, etc., all of them are just closed gardens, but like blockchain is this open space where anybody can build anything they want without permission. Like, I,
Yeah,
I
and
really love the
also,
permissionless nature of it. Like, you don't need to ask. And like, if people like talk about high fees, etc., there are alternatives. There are a lot of alternatives that people don't know of.
yeah, and also, like, there was there's this NFT platform called Sora, and until recently it was like invite only. And then there was some 16-year-old who just built like another frontend that was open and you didn't need an invite to mint. And then Sora just retweeted that. It was amazing. And like in general, another thing that really I really like about all of this is the composability. Like you can really plug anything into anything. Like for example, the
Right.
Mirror guys are using the I think it's ENS or something like that, the Ethereum
Yeah.
name system, which is like blockchain domains. They are just using part of that for their sign up process. And I could maybe now make another app that works with Mirror. I don't need API tokens. I don't need to get approved. I don't need anything. I can just plug that in, and they can do anything about it. But that this gives you like imagine what you could do if you could build anything with Twitter, Facebook, Gmail, everything. Like
All of
if
them
all of these
composed
things
together.
allow you to everyone that you give access to data, allow you to like give granular access to data. Like so I can see I want to give this app access to the emails that come from this specific email or emails that are related to this thing. Or maybe I don't know, I want I don't know, there's like I've been thinking out for a lot of time about the possibilities of making an open operative system where the applications just define like standards for data, and then you could have like maybe a standard for a social network, and all of Twitter, Facebook, all of Instagram follow this spec, and so they can be interchangeable, and you can just do things with them. And this feels like a step in that direction.
But do you think, like, if everybody is following a spec for that specific application, wouldn't that, slow down innovation? Because you essentially have a template that you just need to tweak stuff around and launch just another cookie cutter social media.
I don't think so, because like I think these standards could be open enough so that that isn't an issue. Actually, if I can share what inspired most of this for me,
Sure.
um,
Uh, just a second. Yep.
see if I can find it. It's like data. Here it is. So this was like an essay about how technology uses personal data, and they basically presented a format for how applications could interact with each other. So basically, this is like imagine an OS where you can basically you have a circle of applications that interchange their data and can access their data, and then you have applications that act individually, and then you have like standards. Like maybe there's a standard for a status update, a video, movies, health, stories, music, notes, whatever. So then all these applications know can know things about other applications. So maybe like Safari knows what's left on your to-do list, or Spotify knows this. Safari knows that you are listening to a Spotify song and can show you the lyrics directly. All the lyrics things are connected and things. And basically, the idea is my thought about this was that it would be awesome if we can do this right now. But the issue with doing it right now is that you have privacy issues.
Right.
Like you can just give Amazon access to all your Instagram data because who knows what would happen then. Like that seems very dangerous, but basically what I started thinking about with all of this, and that was again pre-crypto and everything, was like if we could do this on the device so that no data leaves the device ever and everything is processed in the device, that would be really powerful and a way to make sure that this doesn't go wrong with any privacy stuff.
This
And
sounds like a
so
very beautiful concept, honestly.
the thing
Like,
is
this is
now,
the dream.
yeah, you have all this data that it doesn't really matter when you store it. You can just migrate from Apple Cloud to Facebook to Google Drive to Dropbox to literally whatever you want to
Yeah.
have stuff. And all the data doesn't even have to store on to be stored on Twitter servers. You can just have it there, or you can have these access prompts where like similar to like how Apple Pay works now. You can have like Instagram wants to access your Spotify data, And so this is like the data that is going to be accessed. This is what it will be able to do with it, and you can just revoke it at any time, and it will just erase everything that generated using the data. So you don't really need to worry about them using it later. You can just revoke and give access whenever you want. And
Right.
like you can see what access you are giving to anything, selectively access, like maybe I want to give Facebook access to my calendar, but just this type of events on my calendar. And like this is deleted after 14 days. This has been last accessed at this time. So you could really make up an operating system which has a list of, for example, interest, global interest that can be shared around all your platforms. So you can see, so like Twitter can maybe show you programming tweets because they know, or YouTube, or you can follow something on Twitter, and then the next time you open YouTube, the YouTube channel pops up and things like that. Like
I'm
there's a
thinking
lot of
something like
potential.
ENS powers all of that.
Yeah. And like in general, like this is basically what advertisers are trying to do, like build this database of interests. If you could just make this so that it doesn't invade your privacy, you could maybe help it and say like, oh, we have detected you have been reading articles or been chatting about typography.
Yeah.
Does this interest you? You can say maybe it doesn't interest me, or it does interest me. Show me more about it. And so it's just like the idea of having everything interact with each other. There are a few examples in here. So this was like a really powerful idea. And after getting into crypto, I think this is like a crypto is a step forward on all of this. Like the idea of your accounts not being tied to your identity, being tied to a wallet that you can create, and that you can prove it's you, but it doesn't really need to be associated with yourself necessarily. Like for example, Slomo. No one knows who Slomo is, but you can know what his wallet looks like, and you can verify that a profile that someone created is or isn't Slomo if it's associated with his wallet.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is like a really powerful idea that I want to explore more in the future. And so crypto feels like a way of enable some of that and
And when you
go a
take
step
that a step
towards.
further and you add Neuralink to it, and all of that can talk to your brain directly.
Yeah, I,
That is
I
like
I really
mind
feel
blowing.
like if someone will make that at some point, and that will like be the thing that, like, even if I feel someone makes an operative system like that, the platforms that adopt it will be the ones that win. 'Cause, like, it feels too powerful to not win in
True.
general.
But like it could also, go through that thing that it's just for nerds. Like not a lot of people will see its beauty right away.
I mean, I feel like there's a potential. I mean, all of the projects go through that state, but like
Yeah.
Apple was for nerds at some point. And so, yeah, I think that we will see something similar to that in the future at some point. And I think the best way to do something like this right now would be with crypto.
Right. Like it's the perfect playing field for this. Imagine an operating system that has crypto wallets as its native apps, and like all of your identities managed through that.
Yeah, like, and you just have a wallet in the operating system, like built in, and then everything is built around that. I really
Yeah.
think like I'm not smart enough to make that, and I don't have enough time or enough money to do something like that. But someone will at some point.
Yeah. Seems inevitable.
Yeah.
So before moving forward, I just want to answer Digvijay's question once. Curious whether it costs Alex something to access information stored on different blockchains and fetch those images and stuff. So my understanding is like if you're just reading from the blockchain, that's free to do. But if you're writing to the blockchain, then you pay the fee, etc. And I don't know how he has set up his architecture, but I'm pretty sure that he doesn't need to pay anything hefty for that.
So actually, I talked with him about this because I want to make a Showtime clone at some point, but it's not really a clone. I just want to figure out how it works. And again, the best
Yeah.
way of doing that is to build it. So like I was talking about like how he did this, and he's using the OpenSea API.
Okay.
So the proper decentralized way to doing this would be to query the graph. There's this platform called the Graph, which allows you to read from the blockchain using GraphQL. So that would be like the better way to do it, but OpenSea works just fine. So yeah, it's just
But
like a
like,
public API.
so the thing is that triggered another thought. I was talking to a colleague yesterday about this, that every blockchain project goes through progressive decentralization. Centralized projects can't exist in the decentralized space. They're just good enough for proof of concepts, and after that, you need to progressively decentralize, and maybe make a DAO around it, or like directly query the database. Sorry, the blockchain and stuff like that. So for the proof of concept it works, but at one time I'm pretty sure that they'll need to move towards decentralization with it.
I mean, I think the OpenSea API is enough. I mean, it's decentralized enough. It's like a proxy API, so that you don't have to call six different graphs, subgraphs for foundation and so on, everything, because OpenSea already lists everything. So I don't think they should change it, at least until they need to for some extra functionality. But I do agree with that notion in general. I don't know if they get to the DAO part. I think that you can just make a crypto project that is enough decentralized so that you can trust it, but not enough so that you can have the governance power. You can just have like a BDF is like the benevolent detector thing that of open source, and that would work fine. Like maybe fork at some point if you don't like the direction that it's going. But yeah,
Yeah, so like it all depends on the mission of the project and the trajectory they want to take it in. But I still think that just depending on one centralized API, I mean, however much infra they have behind it, it can burst and it can fail at any time. So it's still a single point of failure for them.
yeah, but I mean, you have to start somewhere.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's good enough for like maybe the next 1 to 2 years, but at some point they'll need to progressively
Hmm.
decentralize it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, what are you planning to build like in the near future around in crypto or just in general?
Yeah. So basically, let me share my Twitter, and I will go. Actually, I will go first through the things that I've been working on these 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So basically,
Can you just zoom like press Command plus and zoom in a bit?
yep.
Awesome.
So I've been making first of all, I've been making a few projects with Mirror, because like I said, I really admire what they are doing. I wanted to connect with them, so I made this right I mean, this is the actual right race. I made another thing also called the real right race, which basically ranks projects as to like ranks Mirror publications as to how many entries they've written. So like you can see there are a few Mirror blogs with no entries, and then there are a few with one entry, and then like I thought it would be I had this data and I wanted to make a list of blogs, and I thought it would be fun to make like a ranking. So yeah, I made this. It's open source. It's if you go
Awesome.
to
Oh, that's a
actually
really trippy effect in the hero section.
yeah,
That
I
slides
actually
animation.
got that from like if you go to the Mirror actual right race, I just got that from them.
It's pretty cool.
So yeah, if you go in here, like there's a link to the repo if you want to check out the code for that. And then
Yeah, I
before
went
that,
through it actually. It was pretty cool.
I made a few NFTs, but I also made an open source client for Mirror. Like if you go in here, actually before that, this is how a Mirror blog looks. This is a Mirror development blog, and you have the articles in here and stuff. And this is how my thing works. So basically, users pulls their entries from the blockchain, and it looks like identical, kind of.
Mhm.
At least that was the attempt.
But like, why do you have it exactly identical?
Because that was the idea. I wanted to recreate the design and make it decentralized so that you could have it in a custom domain or things like that. I wanted to play with the API, and I thought making like a self-hosted Mirror
Ah, got
frontend
it.
would be a nice thing. Like all the code is open. You can just go in here and check how I'm pulling the data and all the theme and everything. Then let's see. This is when I announced the DM.link thing. I made a Miguel token, which we can talk about more later because I have plans for that. And yeah, and just spammed about that token for a while. And that's kind of about it, I think. I did a bunch of stuff with Tech Optimist that I can't talk about yet because we haven't announced it.
Yeah,
But yeah,
pretty
that's
cool,
about
man.
it.
You've been doing a lot of stuff, a
So
lot of good stuff.
what I'm planning to work on next, I have one thing ready to go, which is RSS feeds for Miro blogs. Because like I already had like two projects that relied on Miro, so I thought I already have like all the code for pulling from them. I should just make RSS feeds because like they are a blog platform that doesn't
What
support
feed?
RSS
I
yet.
didn't understand. RSS feed.
Like
Okay,
yeah,
got it, got it.
so I basically just made a project that allows you to get the RSS feed for any mirror blog, and that's pulled directly from the blockchain. That isn't out yet because I haven't. I want to polish it a little more and make a cool design. I've been like ripping out mirrors designs for my own things, so I want to find that a mirror design that I haven't ripped yet to put in
I
there because
mean,
I thought.
you they should just give it to you by now.
I mean, I've been fighting with them over like a mirror invite. You have to win them though, so like I mean it's on Wednesday, the mirror based thing, I think. So if you can vote for me on the next one, that would be appreciated. Because I want to write
For sure,
about,
dude.
I have a few articles lined up. I want to write about how I'm building all these things with Mirror. And I also, like, anyone who's watching this, you can't tweet about this yet because I want to tweet about it. But I found a way to download the foundation source code and look through it.
Nice.
So I have an article about all the cool things. Like there are a bunch of really fun things that I don't want to talk about yet because like I don't want to lose the exclusive, but there are a bunch of really fun things and interesting things that they do that I want to write about. And also like all the things that I do in general. So yeah. Then
That's awesome.
I want to progressively start like basically the idea for as I said, I learned by building things. So I
Yeah.
want to build something like Showtime to learn how
Mm.
to. Actually, before that, I was playing with this that I also haven't shared yet. Should be on Miguel dot actually token dot miguelpf.me. I was like, how do you make a tab? I don't know how to make a tab. So I made this from scratch, like not using any kind of templates or anything.
Yeah.
But like this is like a thing where you have a login button. You can log in with MetaMask or Wallet Connect. I can just log in here. I can just log in here with my account, and then it pulls in your wallet address, and you can reload, and that will sign in automatically. If I go in here and disconnect it, it will go back to not being logged in. Which like it's really simple, but most of the platforms surprisingly don't get that. And yeah, I wanted to basically try to see how if I could get that working without looking at any template or anything, just like using pure React. And so that is my first like the app experiment. I want to make an app that shows you your balance in Miguel tokens, and at some point I want to make like a whole infrastructure for doing things with Creator tokens, because there are a lot of sites like Roll and things to make your own token, but there isn't anything really to give it value after that. Like I mean, there's collab.land, which allows you to require tokens to enter a Discord chat. But other
Yeah.
than that, I want to basically make an infrastructure so that you can give that token value aside from economic value. So I
Maybe
have
we
a
should
few
talk about
ideas
this one,
around that.
like properly after this as well, because I've been tinkering a lot with
Yeah,
stuff in the personal token space and like playing around with that.
yeah. So that's a thing. We can talk about creator tokens immediately after because it's a really interesting topic. Um, So I want to basically try to build things from scratch and see if I can figure them out. I want to, like I said, I want to build a Showtime clone. It's not really a Showtime clone, but it's the best way of explaining that. Like
Yeah.
basically an app that can show you all the tokens that you have in your wallet and all the NFTs that you have in your wallet. I want to build an NFT platform. Like, not all of this is not like for launching it or anything, just to learn how it works, maybe do it on stream or write about it later or everything, because I want to like write the Solidity contracts from scratch. Maybe, I mean, look at the standards obviously, but not reuse any code. Then make the front end that interacts with that, and then after that, I want to. There was a third kind of project that I'm forgetting now, but I basically want to build something like those two, so I basically can understand how they work. Um, yeah, and then after that, I mean, this weekend or like early next week, I basically, like, I'm on a few crypto chats, and someone published, like, there was this tweet thread going around of like, I looked about how NFTs are stored, and it turns out like most of them are on IPFS, but like
Yeah.
that isn't really decentralized, because as soon as the platform goes away, the the image will probably go away. And also, like, Nifty Gateway doesn't even use EFPS; it just uses their own API. So the moment that Nifty Gateway goes down, all their NFTs go down.
And CryptoKitties are stored on AWS.
Yeah, so I basically want to build a thing that you can connect your wallet to and then pay monthly a subscription. It will just watch your wallet and back up all your, like, it will pin all your NFTs on a different node, so that you at least have two of them, and also will back them up to Rwave, so that you can like, if all the IPFS nodes that host them go away, you can still download them and re-upload them to IPFS. So I want to make a little project that just like watches your NFTs and make sure that they are always kept. And I think that people are going to want to pay for that.
So, interestingly enough, you pointed out a problem of the IPFS, that it's not truly decentralized and people can take out their nodes, and if it's like not pinned to a node, your thing is gone. So Filecoin is trying to solve that problem by adding an economic layer on top of it. So basically, Arweave merges both those layers, the storage layer and the economic layer. But Filecoin is building like an economic layer on top of IPFS. So those problems should ideally go away when Filecoin starts to be adopted.
Yeah, I still think like it's an interesting project for learning stuff, and it's also an interesting project for maybe like getting people to know me on the crypto space. So I'm still going to build it. But yeah,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it was like just an idea that I had immediately upon seeing that thread. Like, someone should build this, and it should be me before anyone else has time to. So yeah, and then, like I said, I have a lot of ideas regarding creator tokens, but I guess we can talk about creator tokens first, and then we can chat about the things that I want to create around that.
Let's just start with, how did you think about, like, why did you just launch your own personal token?
So, like I said, I'm friends with Alex,
Yeah.
which is like famous for doing that basically.
Alex
And
token.
then, yeah, there was this person called Justin. I don't know what his last name is, which is
Bullet.
just like yeah, randomly launched the Justin token. And I saw it and I was like, okay, this is cool. I should launch my own one. And then I reached out to the person who helped them launch it. And they were like, yeah, I can help you with this. And he wanted 1 ETH to set it up for me. And it was like, first of all, that's a lot of money. And also, this could be a nice opportunity to learn some Solidity and to get started. So I had not written a single line of Solidity before, and I basically got the token deployed to the mainnet in a day.
Nice. That's awesome.
So yeah, and it's also nice that if things like the roll hack happen, it doesn't affect mine, because it isn't on roll or anything. It's just here. So I want to at some point open source the code that I used to do that and add some nifty things like being able to transfer tokens to multiple people at the same time, or being able to reverse transfer tokens where the other person pays for the gas fees.
Okay. Got it.
But yeah, my token doesn't have any of that, and I also didn't make it upgradable. So I guess we'll have to roll in with
Yeah,
the
we too.
yeah. I mean, no, I think I want to. I can keep like it's just like a standard ERC20 token. I can have that, and then maybe have a second contract that adds the other thing, like
So like it's the pattern called like proxy contracts. That one contract just holds the data and like the core mechanics, and you build stuff around that with by layering contracts around it.
yeah. For example, if I wanted to play around with like a bank contract where you can send a balance of Miguel, and then
Hmm.
that contract has all the logic for like multiple transfers and reverse gas fees and things like that. Basically,
Awesome.
one of the things that I want to build is a platform that allows you to do airdrops, but the person who's receiving the token pays for the gas. Because like I've been sending Miguel around, and I had to stop because it's quite a
Very
lot of
expensive.
money. So I want to build something like that, and I think I have an idea of how to implement that in Solidity.
So there's another way around it. So these things are called meta transactions, and then there are bridges being built between L2 and Ethereum as well. So you can essentially launch your token on Matic, and if people don't have Matic tokens, you can leverage meta transactions so that the miners pay or like the validators pay part of your fees because the fees is that low, and it becomes a very smooth experience that way.
I think I want to keep it on chain for now, because like I do want to look into like side chains and stuff, but I haven't had the time yet. So, but yeah, I wanted to basically make a contract that holds some um, Miguel and allows people to get it. Like maybe the idea would be to like I can sign transactions, and then that contract accepts a signature instead of like the usual transaction, and so it executes that transaction, but I don't pay for the gas. And that the way that that can be implemented is that when I want to send some Miguel tokens to someone, I can just send them a link, and then they
Hmm.
can redeem they can use that link to redeem their tokens, so that not everyone can like get them for free, but the people who I want to send them for free, or maybe they like they pay me off chain, some kind of thing, so that I can just give them out like airdrop, but I don't pay for the gas fees. So I wanted to play with that because I want to learn more Solidity, and that feels like another quick project that I could make in a weekend that would teach me more. But yeah,
So if you list it on Uniswap, you don't need to pay for the fee, right?
yeah, but then people have to pay for the token.
Yeah, so with your
And
solution of sending them a link, they would anyway pay for the token.
you know the thing about Uniswap is I want to create a pool at some point, but you basically need a shit ton of it, because like creating a pool needs a ton of gas.
Yeah.
Like it's like 0.5 ETH of gas,
So
and like
probably a
that's
good way to do it is just take Miguel off the ground, like hit the ground running, gain some holders, and then ask your community to fund it.
I the idea was to fund the thing. Like as I mentioned, I did two NFTs.
Yeah.
So I it's just like really simple stuff that I wanted to make. So this one basically paid with for
Just a
deploying the
second. Let
token.
me add it to the stream.
Oh
Yeah.
right. I thought it was automatically. Yeah, so this thing basically sold at zero point 0.5 ETH and paid for launching the token, because deploying a contract also costs quite a bit of gas.
Yeah.
And then there's this second thing, which is like more slow and poetic and stuff. And if someone ends up bidding on this will pay for creating the pool, basically. So that's the
Interesting.
idea around that.
Good luck, man.
Yeah. And yeah, and the idea for this is like, so I said, I don't like the idea of tokens just holding being used for speculation. Or
Yeah.
like maybe you have a arbitrary number that you can require people to join your chat, and that's like all you do with it. So I want to basically build some more on this space, because I think no one is doing this. I want to build tools that allow you to maybe give your community access to GitHub repos when they hold some tokens, or I wanted to make some kind of like Substack where people can, like, it's a decentralized newsletter. The newsletter lives in Airwave, but only the people who hold the token can read it. I have some
I've
are
seen a few
really,
of them. I've seen a
yeah,
couple
but
of
none of
those projects.
them. The issue with those, as far as I know, is that the data is centralized.
No, I've seen people use RV for it.
And how did they manage to not publish the content for everyone?
Not sure, but there must be something like if you just like, uh, interesting. That's something that I didn't look into.
Because like that's the thing, if you have the data on Airwave, you have to find a way so that only the people that hold your token, or only the people that are subscribed, can read it. And the thing is, there's a really easy way of doing that, which is like, let your platform consume that data, but then it's not decentralized.
Hmm.
So the thing is, there's a way of doing it so that only token holders or only subscribers can read the data, but they don't need to, but the data and the platform isn't centralized. So all of this is decentralized. That I came up with. It has the disadvantage that, like, if I hold the token, I can see things that were posted before I holded it. And but it also has the advantage that if I stop holding the token, I can see what's published afterwards. So it's a really smart implementation. I mean, it's not an implementation; it's just like the idea for the implementation that I don't want to talk about, because like I want to build it first. But
Yeah, I
like,
get it.
there's a way of doing that, and I'm pretty sure no one else has done it before, because it's a pretty weird implementation for these two things to like. I found a few things. Like there was a newsletter platform Alex used to use, but that is centralized. Well,
Yeah.
actually, no, that is not centralized. That is free. So then, if it's
Okay.
free, it obviously can have the data on our wave.
Hmm.
But like, the combination of those two things, of being like not freely available and being decentralized, that's something that doesn't exist yet, and I want to make that at some point, because it feels like a really interesting use for creator tokens.
Would be interesting to
And
see how it turns out.
yeah, and then also like a few other things I wanted to play with, um Twitch. I'm a Twitch affiliate, and Twitch has this channel points thing. So I wanted to play around with like a way of swapping those for Miguel if you have enough, because like that means you have been watching the stream and have been subscribed and everything, and that
Hmm.
feels like an interesting way of giving it to people without. Basically, what I'm trying to figure out is, creator tokens are great. I still keep my idea of like, money is not really what the blockchain is about. So what things can we use creator tokens for that aren't just like pumping up the value?
Yeah.
Because
Interesting.
like
That's like a good way to
the
look at
token
it.
is going to be tied to me as a creator, and there's nothing that I can do with it about it. But I still think that there's some interesting way of doing like this. Another thing, like the Substack thing, the great thing about that is that it doesn't really need to be a Substack. It can be a Patreon, and you have a decentralized Patreon where you can upload images, videos, content, links, everything. And like that, I think a decentralized Patreon has to happen at some point. And I think
People
like
have tried.
this is the implementation detail that will make it at least technically possible. Like I said, I haven't done really a lot of research in this, so I don't know if there are other implementation of it, or if someone has done this yet. I'm pretty sure they haven't, because it took me quite a while to come up with it, and it doesn't really involve crypto coins as much as cryptography in general. But yeah,
Cool.
that's my sneak peek
So
of
you have
things.
let out a very sly hint over there that you're using cryptography for it. So I'm gonna
I
brainstorm
mean,
and come up with
it's like
something.
the only way of doing that,
Yeah.
obviously. Like, if you want to have something that is publicly available but isn't readable to everyone, you have to encrypt it in some way. That's not like a clue, that's like a given. So I can give that away.
Yeah, but like that has opened up a line of thought for me. I'm
Yeah,
already coming up with ideas for it.
maybe you will end up reaching the same implementation as I did.
Let's see.
Maybe like once I've at least tried it, I'm more open to talk about all the interesting implementation details. But for now, I'm going to stop talking now.
Yeah, I respect that, dude. That's okay.
So yeah,
Yeah.
anything else you want to talk about?
No, that's pretty much it. And like, I just wanted to emphasize on the fact that just a lot of creators and a lot of people just shy away from the blockchain space because they're money averse, as I was telling you before. They think that the blockchain is just a cash grab or like it's a get rich quick scheme. But when it's like much more beautiful solution to things, and if you don't like what's being built on it, just come over here and try to think of ways you can make
Yeah, I
that better.
mean the
Like drive the innovation forward.
I like to think it as like the blockchain is a server, really. Like it's just like a global server run by lots of people. It's not like a monetary anything. Money is just like how you run it, like an implementation detail. Like that was my
Yeah.
tweet. In the blockchain, money is just an implementation detail. It wasn't for Bitcoin. It is for Ethereum.
Hmm.
And so, like, as soon as people understand that, I think it opens up a lot of possibilities. And the understanding, like, NFTs got me into crypto. I'm sure they have gotten a lot of other people smarter than me, and maybe like some 14-year-old somewhere is now building the crypto OS or all the other things we talked about, or maybe things we haven't even thought of yet. So I think like it's only going to get bigger, and also as soon as layer 2 drops and all the transactions basically get their gas super reduced, like people are going to jump into it.
Side note,
It's got to get bigger at some point.
it makes me really proud that the one of the most major layer 2 solutions, that is Matic and Polygon, that's an India based company, and I freaking love that.
Yeah,
Those are pretty
yeah,
awesome dudes working on that. Cool. So I
yeah, I
think,
should check that out.
yeah. So I think that's about it for what we had. In case you guys have any questions, we're sticking around for like a minute or two to see if you have questions and we'll answer that. Otherwise, it's been great talking to you, Miguel. I had a lot of fun. I was thinking about doing a stream around crypto and blockchain for quite a while because I've been doing YouTube for a while, but stopped in between when I started working and wanted to make content around blockchain, but just didn't get to it because like the product that I've been working on is soon to launch. So I've been
Hmm.
very busy with that.
Is it crypto related?
Oh, it is a core crypto product.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it's in beta. So basically, have you heard of Tezos?
Are those like the? It's like another chain,
Yeah,
I
it's
think.
another chain.
Yeah.
So what we have built is basically an interactive course to teach how to make decentralized applications on Tezos. So basically, it takes you from basics of blockchain to how to write smart contracts in Tezos, how to use like this Web3 JS or something like that. In Ethereum, there's something called Taquito in Tezos, which you can use on the front end. So how do you use that to interact with the contract? And there are like 5 modules. But the twist is with every module that you complete, you get to customize your own 3D robot and claim that as an NFT. And we have a whole marketplace around that.
Nice.
And like we've built a whole
Nice.
3D customizer in the web.
Nice. I love that.
I'm gonna send you the beta link after this one.
I
Check that
mean,
out and
I
let me
was
know.
thinking I want to figure out Ethereum before I figure out other chains, but I will definitely check that out. And the robot things looks it sounds super fun.
Yeah, so like we're still hacking away at it because after beta launch we found out tons of bugs. So
Yeah,
just smoothing it
always
before we
happens.
launch our Twitter.
Yeah, that sounds super exciting.
Yeah. Cool. It seems like we don't have a lot of questions. Anything you want to say before we end?
Um, I mean, if you want to keep up with the things I'm doing, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm like at Miguel PF. That is
Don't worry, I have your
MiguelPF.
Twitter handle in the description.
Nice. So yeah, you can just follow me on there. Eventually, I will get a mirror blog. Maybe if they don't give me one in enough time, I will maybe make my own mirror. So they are incentivized to give me one before I build my own. Yeah.
You can just fork their
Uh,
contracts.
I
You can just fork their contracts.
mean, The thing is, I've talked to the devs, and so I don't want to do anything yet because it's not nice, really. I might make my own mirror at some point, but like it will probably be just personal use, and I don't want to like if they give
You
me a
can
token,
you can like
an
add a
invite
layer
now,
of meme on top of it.
huh?
You can add a layer of meme on top of it. Just make it like Doge themed or something like that.
I
Like
mean,
cabbage themed mirror.
we'll see. I want to try to get in first. I'm pretty sure I will get. I will have pretty high chances of getting in the next race. Just putting that out there. But hopefully, and if
Good
I
luck
don't
to
get
you.
it in like two, because like I want to have a place where I write about all the things I'm thinking about and all the things I'm doing related to crypto, and I don't want it that to be my own blog because like I don't know, I think it would be cool to have a crypto blog to write about crypto. I don't know. So yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So thanks for coming on, Miguel. It was great talking
Yeah,
to you, and let's do this sometime again on like more specific
sure.
topics because I found a lot of things that we can riff on a lot. Like we can go pretty much in depth about creator tokens, like the open garden concept, composability, and all that stuff. So definitely let's do this again. I hope you had fun, and to all the guys that are still watching, I hope you found something useful, and I'm sure you did. So that's it, guys. Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye.